Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and welcome back to another episode of the Heart to Heart podcast. As always, I'm the host, Gregory Hart, and on this week's episode, I get to sit down with someone that means a little more to me now than I thought he ever would, and not in a rude way, but I went and did my first stand-up open mic night, and this gentleman was the headliner. This is the guy who finished the first show that not only was the first show that I had ever seen live in comedy, but was also the first show that I had ever done stand-up comedy. So it means a lot to speak with him. He blew my mind that night and made me realize how funny comedy can be in person in respect to what you see on Netflix or what you always watch on TV or TikTok or whatever the hell you find it now. I'm super stoked to sit down with him and talk about how he got into his career, what he's looking to do going forward, what his biggest goals and admirations are. Today I am joined with Tige Wright. Tige. I knew I was gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
Tige Wright. I'm
Yes,
leaving.
sir.
I literally asked him which way, and I had said it so many times in my mind that I still ended up saying it the other way.
I
It's
like how
Tiger without
confident
the
you
R.
exactly. I like how confident we were like with Tig, like, and then immediately you lost all
Immediately.
confidence. I should have
Oh,
poker faced it. I should have just waited.
yeah. You should have lit me up. You should have just made me be like, I literally just told you my fucking name.
Just hang up.
Yeah. Call now finished. But how you been? How are you, man? Like, I haven't spoken to you. I spoke to you a little bit the first night of my open mic night, and that's why I wanted to reach out right after when I did. How are things with you, and how's comedy going for you right now?
Things are good. They're starting to like comedy's going okay. I just ran a few shows this month. It always feels good when you got a good month of shows. Um, Comedy's going well. Just starting to get into corporate season now, so we're gonna be doing some Christmas parties and stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, kind of hoping for. I think I got to start prepping. I'm hoping for like a big like this part of the year next year. Yeah, just kind of been in a weird place with it for a bit.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
before we jump into like doing corporate events and stuff like that, where did comedy start for you? Like, how did this all begin? Did you take after someone else? Did you just grow up really enjoying comedy? Or did you realize that the only way that you could really express yourself and the shit you really wanted to say was on a stage?
Definitely not that last one because I'm just like all the stuff I say on stage is you hear it on construction sites. It's not like
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
not like super cerebral or nothing. It's just loud dick jokes. But uh like my parents, both of them were like the life of the party, right? That's where I was at. And ooh, cough button, I like it. They were both the life of the party. So when they had me, I guess I got that. My sister didn't. I've got a little sister. She never got that. I was always just, yeah, class clown, that sort of stuff.
I hear
Growing
that.
up watching like Carlin, Pryor, like Monty. I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons, but I could watch Monty Python,
Wow.
which was crazy. Yeah. So I could I could watch like the real existential stuff that was just like right in your face. A lot of British humor. But yeah, I was always been very into stand-up comedy and comedy in general. Yeah, it's from a very young age.
Where did this start? How long have you been doing stand-up comedy?
I've been doing stand-up comedy for 9 years now. Yeah, I started in Kitchener. I did my first ever amateur night at Yuck Yucks
Nice.
in what did I say? 20, yeah, 20, yeah, it would have been 2013. It's in Kitchener. It's a little it used to be under a big hotel, like an old hotel, and it was a perfect room. It was dark, small, low ceilings. You couldn't like there was one way in, one way out. Those are the perfect rooms. Like if there was a fire in there, everybody was dying. It's everybody's favorite club. Like if you talk to older comedians that did it, the Kitchener Yucks, like, oh, that was the best. Yeah, because it was just so compact.
It
Yeah.
seems like the Yuck Yucks themselves have started to fade out. Like London's
Yeah.
gone, obviously Kitchener's gone. There's still a few around, is there not? Like some of the big
Yeah, there's
cities.
still a few in the bigger cities. Yeah. But
And
they used to be everywhere. Now they're doing a lot of satellite rooms. Like they're realizing, wait a second, we could just sell our brand. Like there's a satellite room here in Cambridge at a restaurant. So they just have a stage, they partner with them, and then on the
wow,
weekends or every other weekend, they do a show. And then they don't
a
have to
lot less
maintain a building.
overhead. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Man, you
Yeah.
started
And
comedy when I graduated high school, so that's
it feels good for me. I'm starting to feel old, man. I'm starting to feel real old. Yeah.
Dude, I got sitting there the other day and I just sitting there, I'm so stressed out and I'm like, I got so much fucking shit on the go and stuff that I want to do, and I can't just target one thing that I want to do. For some reason my mind, I got ADHD, something terrible. So I want to do a million things. I want to do them all really well, and then I get so caught up in trying to do them all that I don't do any of them. And then I procrastinate. And so like it just, that was an ADHD moment because I have no fucking clue where I was going with that. But now I have ADHD, so I'm glad we got to that. Growing
There's
up,
a reason we're doing this in my kitchen instead of my living room. My living room's all torn up. I got toilets in my living room. Speaking of ADHD, I was like, oh, I got a good deal on toilets. I'm going to renovate the whole house. Bought 4 toilets. Still just have 2 toilets hanging out in the living room.
it's a comfy seat. You
They're,
might lose feeling in your
they're
legs,
nice
but
toilets though. Like these are Toto. These are nice toilets.
you
If you're
know,
going to have any toilet in your living room, those are the ones.
man. Oh, that's exactly right. You're talking about toilet. We might be able to bounce back and forth here for a minute. You talking about shitters brought me back to why I was talking about ADHD. I sat there and I was complaining about how stressed and over like how many things I want to do in my life and how I can't focus on one of them. And I realized like I'm 27. Like I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. I pay rent, I eat what I want, and I go do shit outside with friends that also don't have kids. I'm like, this is gonna get a lot fucking worse if I can't figure it out right now. So yeah,
The
anyway,
not
that's
having
where I was
kids
going with
thing
that.
though.
Yeah, do you have kids?
The not having kids thing though, that is awesome. That's just wicked. Because
Do you have
otherwise,
kids?
if you have kids, you don't get to sit and think about that stuff because you have kids.
Yeah, that's very true. Maybe I
We get
need
to be
kids.
sad in a different way than people with kids.
Yeah,
We get to be sad because of all the things we could be doing that we're not doing because we just have too many choices. People with children get sad because their child just threw up in their coffee. And also, they can't do all the things that they want to do.
all of a sudden, I really want children. Thank you so much, Tig. How many
They're
kids
the
do you
worst.
have?
I don't have kids. I have none. I have 0 kids. Fuck those things.
You had me
I wait
so
for people to
convinced,
have
dude.
kids, and then I wait, wait for them like for a little while everybody's like, "Oh, you should have kids. It's so good." And then I just wait a little bit, and then hey, so what's it like having kids? And it's always like when they get them real honest, once they've been worn down for a while, then they're like, "It's the worst. I love them, but I have to. It's the government, like as they have.
I
You've never
slept
known love."
once 2.5 months ago. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. I've been up and down. Me and my wife, like I got married in August and she was so keen for kids when we first met. And now, like, just over the years of like watching her, like starting to watch our friends have kids, and like we
Yep.
still have so much shit we want to do and travel and have money and freedom and happiness. And we just don't want all that to go away right now. So
Yeah, dude, I just bought Blink 182 tickets. You think I'm buying Blink 182 tickets if I have children? Hell no. I start college funds just to buy dumb shit. Like it's
just in case I
wicked.
have kids, wait, didn't do it again. I'm going to a concert.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
exactly.
hilarious.
It's the best. Yeah, I got my wife a dog. All our friends were having kids, and I was like, that's gonna really put a like a damper on what I want to do. So I got her a dog. I wanted a dog anyways, but I picked like one of the neediest breeds. We got a Malamute.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Big.
that was her baby. It was perfect. And now
Yeah.
we see all of our friends that still have kids, and they're like, it's you guys. We kind of like you guys made the right choice. You're having a good time. Yeah, it's the best.
People always say, like, what happens when you're old and like you don't have anyone? It's like, motherfucker, I'll still have money and I've already done 25 fucking years of doing whatever the hell I want. So it sounds like you're really having a hard
You can
time making
buy
those pros
kids.
and
You can
cons
just
lists.
go get a kid.
Yeah,
Like
they have a
everybody's
Craigslist.
cool. You're an asshole if you don't rescue a dog, but you go and make your own kids. Get bent.
Yeah,
There's a
fucking,
bunch
you
of
know what? You're right.
right? There's kitty pounds all over the place. You could go get one. That's a real human, right? There's no argument that they could be food and that's not true. I guess people eat people, but like over in places where they eat dogs, dog pounds aren't a thing. That's just like a farm. You know what I mean?
Imagine if we
They
started
don't do that
breeding
with
them.
kids. There's always kids that you can adopt, and people out here making their own because they just want one that looks like them. You're gross. Stop it.
You imagine if we started breeding them? There's like the super fast kids. Then there's like kids that are a little dopey, don't live as long. You know, they're the pugs of the kids. And then we got like the golden retriever of kids, and those ones become cops. And we just like,
Yeah.
holy
Yeah,
shit, this could be something. But oh
exactly.
man, yeah, I go on a tangent, obviously, but going back to like you
Sorry.
starting comedy, no, fuck, dude, I'll do it 100 times before this episode ends. You started comedy in 2013. Is there a comedian that like I've always heard, and I listen to a lot of podcasts and I consume a lot of comedy. I hear comedians talk a lot about when they first started doing their routine, they had a lot of the mannerisms and feels of one comic in specific that kind of always made them laugh the hardest. Did you ever have that, or did you have someone that kind of was your be all end all when it came to comedy?
I don't think so because I had so many influences. I thought
That's
about
fair.
that. And I don't think because like some comedians, you could be like when they're starting or even partway through their careers, you can be like, oh, Mitch Hedberg, or that's Seinfeld right there. Or there's a lot of comedians like you just pick them out. Louis C.K. You could pick that out if there's a certain style. I think I just had so many in my head that it was like per joke. Probably depends on how I wrote the joke, how I was going to deliver it. But like yeah, like Louis C.K., Dylan Moran, Dara O'Brien, uh, yeah, like those type of guys. Carlin. I can't deliver a joke like Carlin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't have to worry about that. Or Brian Regan, I could do. There's definitely some jokes I had when I was younger that would have been Brian Regan-esque, just with like the dopey voices and stuff like that. Yeah.
I gotta say, like watching your stand up at the end of my set was so like you're fucking obviously you're funny. You're a fucking stand up, but like
Oh, thank you.
it was you were very funny to watch. Like me and my fiance had gone and seen a couple, like we've gone to 3 or 4 shows since, and we other than like we went and saw Tom Segura live in Kitchener a couple weeks ago, and
How
that
was
was
it?
fucking incredible. Like he's my favorite
Yeah.
comedian, so it was a big like I don't know, like it's weird to look at a comic as a celebrity, but at this at the size that those guys are getting to, it's
Yeah.
kind of that weird
Yeah.
like celebrity shock when they come out to you. You're like, this guy's fucking speaking. Like he's 9 feet from me, or he's like 9 rows from
Yeah.
me. Anyway, but I remember watching you do stand up after I did my open mic, and I kept critiquing, and I'm signing up for more now with levity and Guelph and stuff. But I critiqued the entire time I watched you do stand up. I critiqued what I did wrong. And one of the biggest things that I pulled from watching your set was your volume. Like I felt like obviously it was only my first open mic night, so obviously I feel like I'll get more confidence over time. But it was like my dad passed away and I bought myself a watch. And then like get like a little bit of a laugh at some point throughout the show. But like you come out and you're like, what the fuck's going on, everybody? And, like start telling dick jokes and shit. And you just like captured everyone and took everyone's attention. Like it took people away from like eating their food. Like, and I that's another question I want to ask you actually on a side note. Doing comedy in a place that sells food. I know most of them do, but there is a lot of venues that potentially you could be doing a show that doesn't offer anything other than drink during the show. Is that a
Yeah.
fucking completely different ball game?
I don't know. Like it depends on if it's like pub food or if they're having like a meal, Like if
That's fair.
I've done it where you're brought in as the dinner entertainment and you just like who thought like I'm not background music. It's not going to work that way. Like and they're like no content restrictions at all. Anyways, they just got their first course. Yeah, you're going to go up there. Meal's going to be 90 minutes long. The show's going to be 90 minutes long, right? This is perfect. It's like, that's not
No.
you just put a comedy album on in the background when you have dinner over. No, you don't have people over and just do that.
Yeah,
What the
people
hell are
miss
you doing?
all the premises of every joke that's told, and all they hear is cock getting
Yeah.
said
And
19
that's
times during
you
their meal.
risk people being like, what the hell did he just say? Because they
Yeah,
heard none of the setup, right?
100%.
It's like that. He just said something because comedy needs the context. That's what we see with people like taking jokes out of context and like people trying to be like, hey, it's not like you missing all of the other things that make that joke a joke when you just
100%.
take it out of that. So if
Yep.
you're doing that to people that are some of them were trying to eat and pay attention at the same time, but that's not fair to them. Like we want everybody to be in like the optimal scenario for comedy. Yeah. So
That
sometimes if people are eating during the show, it's not the best. If pub food, finger food, French fries and stuff like that, that's fine. Because that's just like you don't have to look at it. Yeah.
especially when they come for that specific reason. Like that's why I was going to ask you. You said at the very beginning, like corporate shows start coming up. People book you to do corporate events, and like it's hard because like I really enjoy comedy. So if a comedian came to my corporate event, I'd be the person who put up a fucking chair, made sure I had a drink in my hand, and I would respect and enjoy the set and like hear what they have to say. But I've got a lot of buddies that don't like if I put on a fucking Netflix special that I'm like, you have to see this. Like when Ball Hog came out from Segura, I had a bunch of buddies over for drinks. I'm like, let's watch this. And like 5 minutes in, like some guys start talking. I just want to like, shut the fuck up. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys just missed 3 setups. And like
Yeah.
now this guy says this part of the joke, and you're like, I don't really get it. And I'm like, no fucking wonder you don't get it. Like I that's why I'm wondering, like, how hard is it to do a corporate event? Like that seems so difficult because you're gonna have not only people who didn't choose to come to a comedy show, so the filter aspect might have to change a little bit. And then you've got everyone from a 22-year-old that just got hired to a 65-year-old, male, female, everything in between. Like that's got to be a fucking ball game.
Yeah, it's the one that I was just telling you about was a corporate. That was a corporate event. But you can usually talk to them and be like, hey, like, is there a band or something like that? Can we switch out? Like, we'll do this near, like, would you bring dessert out? We'll start the show. But with corporate events, usually they want you to be cleaner. So you're already going and kind of watching what you're going to say, even if unless it's a group that says, no, go full dirty. You don't usually.
Yeah.
So as far as content goes, you're usually pretty okay. They do a pretty good job most of the time telling everybody, hey, this is the comedy portion of the night, even if people aren't ready for it. So everybody's at least sitting down.
Yeah.
And then after that, it might as well be a bar show. Like you're trying to get everyone's attention on you for as long as you can. And if there's multiple acts on the show, you've got to make sure they're paying attention. You have to make sure they can hear you, because if they can't hear you, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to have the sound right. You have to be loud. If not, like I've done it where the mic sucks and I'm just projecting to the back of the room. Once you've got their attention, you're trying to maintain it. And usually the best way to do that with corporates is crowd work. Bringing in people, making
apart.
fun of people, that sort of thing. Everybody at work, they've all got inside jokes. And like, I tour with Jeff Leeson. I wasn't on this last tour, but he's all crowd work. Like he's all crowd work, and watching him handle those situations, you realize like, this is, if I could incorporate a little bit of that, it'll gather their attention, and then I can do a bit, and then I can talk to somebody else, and then I can do a joke, and then I can talk to somebody else, and it maintains everybody's attention. Yeah, but it is a pain in the butt. Yeah,
that is so well put. Like that's really where it changes. Like anyone can think like, oh, they just go up and they write a bunch of fake jokes that make people laugh. Like it's like, unless you've tried to do it, first off, it's hard as fuck. Second, like that is such an art that you're talking about right now. Like to be able to just pick up, like every single set could be different when you do a corporate event. You could have so much time at the beginning where you can't get anyone's attention. The second you grab it, you're trying to piece together chirps and jokes that are now not only funny, but are also workplace allowed. Like you're having a bunch of employees of a company here, and then to like fit your bits in between, and like that's just where like like obviously 9 years under your belt, like that's an experienced comic thing to do. Because me, obviously, barely even a fresh I'm a open micer that's done it once, for fuck's sakes. I'm like coffee break. I sat there and for 4 days, I said my 7 minutes 1,000 times, made sure it was 9 minutes, because I knew I was going to be faster, because I was going to be nervous. I was going to be saying it as quick as I possibly could. So, man, that really takes a different level of expertise and like just time in the trade to do stuff like that.
It's honestly like I'm getting to the point now where I can appreciate that sort of stuff. And again, it's because I'm doing shows with way more experienced comics than me for so long, and listening to what they have to say about the scenario. And then after the show, like, what could we have done differently? Yeah, it's just that kind of like, you get it with time. There are still scenarios where I know what needs to be done. And I feel like, because like, you'll have this with your stand-up career too, different levels of what doing well feels like. You know what I mean? You'll have your first like kill and you're like, this is great. And then everything that's not that from now on is going to feel like shit. So there's the
Oh
point where
god.
like you'll do a show like that where it's not going to be good, but you know how to fix it. And maybe you can't, sort of thing. You're going to do your best. They're going to have a good time, but you're going to know that it wasn't as good as it could be. And that's frustrating.
The one thing that I think is easier to say than it is to actually execute is, in my mind, I want to set up an open mic set at least once a week for the next 4 months. And every single time I go on stage, I want to change something about the set, whether or not it's some like keep the funniest thing that I possibly have to say to make sure I get some kind of laughter in an open mic set. But I feel like there's a little bit more of a leeway and a little bit more of a understanding that you could completely bomb trying something new when you're doing an open mic. But I feel like, yeah, so I say that I want to try something new and add to it every single time so that I have more than one specific set of 7 minutes. But at the same time, I get up on stage and the first 2 jokes I hear like someone's shoelace come untied. I'm gonna retreat pretty fucking quick back to
Yeah.
what I know and what I have seen prove to make people laugh at that point. How do you start building those sets?
So now this is going to sound real shitty because you've just started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do well. But open mics are for failing.
Yeah,
Open
100%.
mics aren't for
I
killing,
respect that.
right? So wanting to go to your funnier material makes sense because you want the other comics to see you and you want them to be like, oh, we're doing a show over here. You should join us, right? So you want that. But also, if you don't eat shit, that means you're not trying anything. And if you're not trying anything, then you're not growing.
Yeah, 100%. That's the last
You
thing
know
I
what I
want to
mean?
do is find 7 minutes that is hilarious and do that for 3 years. Like that's the absolute last thing I'd ever want to do.
Yeah.
Because I
And
would get
that's where
sick of
like
doing
I
stand up.
feel
Like,
I am. Like I've had the same like 45 minutes. It's all changed. Like it's not the same. Like I've had the same 45 minutes, which for what feels like 3 years. But in the last 3 years, I've written another 45. But it still doesn't feel like that because I haven't been, you know what I mean? Like doing them as sets, just little bits. And that's what you can do. You can have your 7, and then in the middle of your 7, put in your new minute and a half joke. Right
and I don't,
now, that feels like your 7 because you've got the beginning that does well, you've got your end that does well, and then you've got that little lull in the middle of the new stuff.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and
It's just a little sand, this little just little comfort. You've got your 2 comfort zones. You can put your new stuff in the middle, and then you can end feeling good about yourself.
I always like it sucks because like I don't really have a leg to stand on is the fact that I've only done it once, but I feel like it would be like training. Like I played competitive baseball in my life, and every single time you go out, you try and get better and better and better and better. And sometimes you like, I don't know, it's such a weird way to put it, but it's almost like that repetition of doing those, like trying those new jokes and like changing a word and all those like open mic sets, or even if it's just like a host, or I don't even know what the line of things goes, like open mic and then there's a feature or a host or
So there's like your open mics are just a show. So like if you're an open micer, that's all you're doing is open mics. So
yep.
you're just going open mic to open mic to open mic or amateur nights and stuff like that, smaller shows. And then you've got like your booked shows. So now you're getting booked gigs. It's not like there's no title for it, but you're just now you're doing like you're doing your spots. So you're booked spots. And then there's opener at a club, which is like a 5 minute to 7 minute set. Then you've got your feature or middle. They usually do like 20, 25. And then, yeah, you've got your headliner, which should like a headliner should be doing 45 to an hour, but there's a lot of smaller shows that'll have a headliner do a half hour. And then, and there's your MC, which is like a host. In Canada, it means a completely different thing than in the States. In the States, the MC is the weakest of all of them. It's just like some guy that shows up, tells you about the drink specials, tries to do a joke, and then brings up the first comic. That's an MC
Okay.
in the States. And that's why the bullet position going first is so scary. Whereas in Canada, our hosts, our MCs, are headliners. Most of the time, like if you see it at a comedy club, the host will be a headliner or at least a feature, like a good feature, because they have to corral the whole show. So they'll do 10 to 15 off the top, bring up the opener, do another 5 if they bomb, then they'll bring up the feature and bring up the headliner. And then some of the clubs will have the MC or host they'll host the one week and headline the next. So they use that first week as an advertisement for their week at the club the next week.
Fair enough. Have you ever thought like it's cool to see the like levels that you go through with going through comedy, and like reaching each one of those levels must feel like $1,000,000. But have you ever thought like having 45 minutes of material? Have you ever thought of doing like a YouTube special?
Yeah, I've been threatening to record something for like 3 years. And now I'm seeing like all my friends recording albums and stuff. I've got a buddy that's recorded like 3. And yeah, I was actually offered to record something on Tour Records, offered to record my album for me in January of 2020.
Oh, the
And
COVID times.
yeah, we were going to record that in the summer, and then something happened and it just never worked out. Because the end of the world or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sucked. But and then I just never did it. Now I keep saying I'm going to do it. I want to. I think I'm going to have to book myself a little tour and actually tour as a headliner. Just because I need to, if I'm recording an album or a special or something, I want to record at least 45 minutes, probably an hour, and then cut it down to half hour or 45.
Like great material, yeah. Man, that's it's every like I've spoken to 3 comedians, and the last 3 episodes I've done was like Big Norm. I did Dave Merhej.
Holy shit.
Norm
and Merhej?
Yeah, I went and saw Norm. So, and why can I not think of his name? This big white redneck dude. He does a hilarious fucking jokes. He was with Norm in London a couple months ago. I can't remember his name, and it's driving me nuts. I'm looking it up.
Big white redneck dude.
He tries to like, he doesn't talk like that, but that's his like persona when he's on stage. This is gonna sound so stupid once I find it. Casey
Is he
Corbin?
Fat? Oh, Casey Corbin. Yeah. Holy shit. You had Casey Corbin. Why am I on this podcast, dude?
I'm enjoying talking to comedians, dude. Like you've been doing it for 9.5 years. And the same thing has been said for every person that I've talked to so far is there's all these different levels of stand-up. And some of these guys have been doing it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Like Dave's first stand-up set was at a fucking Windsor Yuck Yucks in a competition for Canada's top comedian. Like he had never even done stand-up comedy before then. So it's the spectrum of comedians and where they are in their career. You're at 9.5 years, and literally, do you know Andrew Schultz?
Yeah.
Andrew Schultz was, yes, he was a comedian, don't get me wrong, but he blew the fuck up off of TikTok stand-up. He was doing rooftop stand-up sets during COVID and did something so unique that made him go from 0 to 1,000 in months. So like, everyone's at like this stand-up thing. Like that's where I was going with this was stand-up is there's no handbook saying, okay, so you do 35 open mic nights and then you're going to be pretty funny, haha guy, and then you're going to open a show, and then and there's no tallies to be checking off with this. Everyone's career is so fucking up in the air, and there's no rhyme or reason to why anything fucking works. So
it's super frustrating.
It is like I'm like I'm 2.5 years into podcasting, which is so different than doing stand-up comedy. But even like doing one open mic night, it's so much bigger of a feat to get up on stage and try and make people laugh than people truly think it is. It's so underrated if you're not that type of person. So my question to you was, do you ever feel like you've done something wrong along the way? Like some people might think like I need to do this and this and this, and then this will get me on YouTube, and then I'll go on TikTok, and then I'll get a Netflix special. And do you think that there's something you could have done differently along the way to make your life easier as becoming a stand-up headliner?
Probably. I this is gonna sound silly, but like I could have cared more about going to Toronto to do stuff.
That's
like
fair.
I didn't like now it's difficult not being in Toronto. There's not as many shows out here. I just did a set on the weekend there, and somebody's like, why aren't you, whenever I see a Toronto comic, like, why aren't you in Toronto? I've got this weird thing in my head, like I could do it without Toronto, and it's been working. But if I had, if you're in Toronto, you're going to get more eyes on you, and there's a chance. I don't know. I don't know if anybody there is any further along necessarily, but I feel like there's a stronger community in Toronto than anywhere else. And being an hour away, I don't really have an excuse. That's probably it. I'm just, yeah, I feel like I could reach out more. I don't reach out a whole lot. I just go, yeah, I'll just do it myself.
I
And
think it's
then
easier
I'll put
said
on a
than
show.
done. It's easier to point out the things that you should be doing differently than it is to actually do them. Toronto's not like, it's still, you're in Kitchener.
Yeah.
It's still
Cambridge.
an hour, like at least. And like some of the times you're trying to get there are going to be near dinner time, like trying to get
Yeah.
there on like, I guess that there can always be a fucking excuse or a reason why not to do something. And trust me, I've got them all. I've had my procrastinating to do this shit for far too long. But it just seems like, well, it doesn't seem that there is literally no list of what to do in this fucking career choice. So I do you still I'm assuming you still work full time?
Yeah, I still have I started a company so I could work for myself.
Nice.
But yeah, I work full time for myself. Yeah, during the
And
day.
that's like
And
no, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, the reason I did that is so that I could take time off to tour. So I've taken, probably in the last 4 years, 5 years, I've probably taken 12 months off
Good for
total
you.
to be on the road. So
Dude,
yeah.
I've thought about, like, I don't know, maybe it's just ridiculous and so far-fetched, but I've literally talked about just dropping everything, or not dropping anything, but like picking up all my shit and moving to somewhere that has more opportunity, working a part-time job just to cover my like basic living expenses and dive full-fledged into comedy and podcasting and all these things. But it's just so intimidating. How did you make that dive? Like, how far along were you in comedy before you decided to start your own business so you could do it more often?
Um, I started my own business 5.5 years ago. So I would have been 4 years into comedy.
Damn.
I my job wasn't bad. Like, I was the head of a department, and I only worked Monday to Thursday, and I had salary and a company car.
Nice.
So I used the company car to go to comedy shows and stuff. And I was just loaded up with comedians from here and drive to Toronto or Hamilton. Uh, and then I started my own company so that I could have my own car and I could expense my trips, the sort of thing. I was starting to get paid for stand up. And then
How
yeah, it
fucking
was, yeah,
good
so it was
does that feel
5.5 years ago. To
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 get
what?
paid fucking $15? Who cares? How good does it feel to someone hands you money for doing stand-up comedy?
You don't like it.
I don't like it. Fuck, fucking
I
move
don't
on
like
over.
it.
I'll fucking take it.
Makes me feel dirty. There's a couple of comedians that have told me that they remember the first time they handed me an envelope, I gave it back to them.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are
There's
you
also comedians that'll remember asking me to headline shows, and I said that I would go last, but don't call me a headliner, or I wouldn't do their show if they were putting me as a headliner.
wow.
You can find them.
See, you know what, dude? Like I can kind of relate with that in not the aspect of comedy because obviously I'm nowhere near there, but I can relate to the fact of like I wouldn't feel like I earned it yet.
Yeah.
Like that's always would be in the back of my mind. Like, am I even good enough to be sitting here yet, or am I just gonna fucking disappoint people?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck,
Yeah.
man. I can relate with that.
I didn't like the idea of people. I mean, who cares? Let people have their fun, but being like, I'm headlining, and it's like, you're not, though. You're doing 15 minutes at the end of like a free show.
You
It's not,
wanted
you're
that
not
true
headlining.
headline
And then
slot.
people are like, yeah, but why does it hurt anybody? And then you find out that that person that headlined is messaging a paid show being like, I can headline. I headlined this coffee shop in buttfuck nowhere. It's like, no, you didn't headline. You ate shit for 15 minutes. It's not headlining. Or you did well for 15 minutes. It's still not headlining. Right. And then I remember people reaching out and being like, hey, can I headline your show? And be like, I just had Gavin Stevens or Jeff Leeson
Wow.
headline my show. And you're asking me if you can headline. You've been doing it for less time than me. And you couldn't follow me if you tried. And I'm not comfortable headlining my own show.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, oh, me being a dick about not calling those shows headlining is good, because now I have in my head that I'm not a headliner instead of why aren't people booking me to headline? It's like, you're not yet. Just calm down. But I'm also like a grumpy bitch, so that's part of it.
No, you have respect for your trade. Like it sounds so fucking stupid, but it'd be so nice if it almost would. I know it would never work like this because first off, a lot of comedians are fucking out of their minds. So it'd be hard to like fish them all together like this, but almost like an apprenticeship. Like I was in electrical, you got level 1, you got level 2, you got level 3, level 4, and you're licensed. Licensed as a headliner. You get like documentation saying you've done this amount of shows at this level and was this successful. Obviously, it's not that easy to manage because everyone's just looking for spots wherever the fuck they can get them at lower levels. But it just sucks that you can't, like, you have respect for it. Someone's not reaching out to you saying, I headline a fucking coffee shop in butt fuck nowhere. I'm gonna headline your show. Like, bro, you haven't been here since coffee break. You ain't doing shit. Like,
yeah.
And it's
it
not
sucks.
trying to be ignorant, but
yeah, it sounds like, what is it, like purist, or what is it, like what's the name for it? I don't know. It sounds uppity saying that sort of stuff.
Pompous.
But like seeing, yeah, it sounds pompous, but like when you see somebody that is a headliner, you don't have to, like, no one argues it. You know what I mean? They're like, that guy's a headliner. No one goes, is he? You know what I mean? And I did not want to be like, oh, I'm headlining, and hear somebody go, yeah, but are you? You know what I mean? When you see people that are headlining, when you see people that are features in other places coming to headline and being like, oh, you're a feature there, and you've just destroyed this room. That's crazy. I'm not a headliner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just having that certain, that like, I don't know. I guess it's you're being elitist or something like that, but it's true. Like you have to understand what the words mean. But there's other people that are just doing it for fun, and that's fine. Like if they're just doing it for fun, that's all the power to them. But they have to understand that I'm not. I never was, and that's why I've been such a prick.
Dude, it is a respect thing, man. And like I don't know if it's just because I consume so much comedy that I respect it so much, but like I follow so many comedians that are in LA and they talk about the store, the comedy store, and the improvs and stuff like that, like kind of like what our Yuck Yucks was in the US, obviously much bigger now. But they talk about like people that run the store, or man the door and park cars, and there's all these comics that just want it so fucking bad that they're parking people's cars, cleaning off tables, taking fucking tickets. I was literally gonna reach out to Sandy McFarlane this week. Like I was gonna message him yesterday and just say like, hey, like I don't know if you need any help at Crazy Canuck. I will take in money or run the door or fucking sweep and mop for a chance to be around comics more often and maybe earn a 5-minute spot on an open mic night, or maybe convince more guys to come out for open mic nights to make them a little more popular or whatever it may be. Like put your time in. Like I wouldn't want a fucking handout, dude. If they said, dude, you're gonna headline this show, we're gonna be $250, I'd be like, the fuck you are, because first off, I'm going to disappoint every fucking person that comes to this show. For a second, every comic that's also in that show with me is going to think I'm a fucking phony. And I don't want any of it. Like I've noticed, like, even with Dave and with Norm and all these guys, like the comic world, the comedian world is smaller than you fucking think. Like there is a lot of us, and there's a lot of people that are trying to become stand-up comedians. But if you're a good fucking person, you're a good dude to chat with, and you're funny, the other comedians will respect the shit out of you and they'll know who you are. Like,
it's creepy. It's creepy when people know who you are, because I talk shit. I talk a lot of shit, and I don't care. I'll talk to somebody about their best friend. I'll just talk to a bunch of shit, and then I'll forget that I said it.
Sucks. Yeah.
Then I'll see them, and they'll be like, "Oh, Tige, I've never met this person before in my life. I was just talking shit for the sake of talking shit." They're like, "Hey, Tige, how's it going?" And you're like, "Oh, right, we're in, like, I was gonna run into you. Maybe I shouldn't have said all that stuff."
You know what? That thing I said last week, I was high.
I've apologized to a lot of people. I've apologized to a lot of people in person.
You know what, man? I'll take 20 friends that just tell me how the fuck it is when I'm being an idiot, or say that like everything that comes to their head, over 5 friends that make me feel good, but they only ever tell me what I want to hear, because that's just ridiculous. It's just, anyway, that's a fucking
yeah. But yeah, like
Alright.
people, and the other thing you notice, like Mirhaj, Corbin, and Norm, like they're all humble
Very.
too, right? They're not like we're the shit. We're like, but they are like they're fucking killers. But they're all like they're not gonna be sitting there be like, no, I'm a headliner. You can put the three of them in a room and they're not gonna like they know who's gonna headline, right?
Dude, I
Between the
was
three of
so
them.
naive to comedy. I didn't know who Dave Merhesh was.
It's because it's Canadian comedy. No one knows who the hell anybody is.
Like I found his page, noticed he was a Canadian comic that moved to LA, and I wanted to speak to someone that made the fucking move and took the dive into comedy and find out where they started here, what steps they took, kind of thing. Reached out to him, realized he's a fucking murderer, and like saw the shows that he was going on. I was like, man, I don't know if this guy realized that I'm a mediocre podcast host right now. Like, but he came on,
And
he
that's
was
the thing. He
fucking
doesn't
awesome.
care.
No, he was
Yeah.
sick, man. He's like, send me your artwork, like send me the stuff that like the clips that you make, like I'll reshare it, I'll share it to all my buddies. Like, and he was a straight up dude. And that goes to show right there, like if you respect them, they respect you, kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
it goes around, comes around, but the comedy scene is just so much smaller than it looks.
And that's the other thing. Like Canadian comedy is very competitive. Like we don't treat it like it's competitive, but it is. Do you know what I mean? Like if you look at who's getting booked on bigger things, it's kind of the same people over and over again.
Yeah, I've started to notice
And
it
they're
now.
trying to maintain that, you know what I mean? Which is fine. Like they got to get paid. They got to make money while they can. But yeah, there's this whole exodus happening. And maybe it always was, of comedians moving to the US. Because there's more opportunity there for comics. Like every town, like there's towns with less than 3,000 people in them that have a comedy club.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you know,
just like almost every place has a comedy club. It's crazy.
have you heard of Nima Nas?
Neiman Nas. No.
He's a TikToker that like did like skits of like different accents, like Gordon Ramsay and like doing different people. And he grew so big on TikTok and he started doing stand-up comedy. He's actually fucking funny. And I had him on when he was a TikToker. Well, he just put on him and three other guys just traveled Canada, putting on their own tour.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that's why like I'm trying to surround myself with as good of people as I can, people that would want to do that kind of shit. Obviously, if there's a mutual respect that, like three of us aren't carrying this fucking show and we're bringing this jackass Greg with us because he cleans our shoes. Like it had to be mutual respect, but it seems like the way to get ahead or move up in this game is to surround yourself with comics that are like-minded and want to go for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You'll get like these crews of dudes, like even at like open mic level, like I was saying with me with the company car, it was me, my buddy James McVicker, Dave McInnes, and Dave Getachew, and at the beginning Rob Davies, and we would just pack into the car and we drive to Toronto or we drive to Hamilton or we drive to
Awesome.
London, and it's just like that was what we were there for.
I definitely respect and appreciate all the info I've gotten from you so far. What I want to do, like I'm starting to change up the podcast. I want to like I love doing interview and I love to learn more about people, but I'm trying to get away from it and have more of just a generic conversation, or not generic. Yeah, let's have a regular conversation.
The weather's crazy,
The
right?
fucking weather, man. It's
The
nice out.
trees, it's like they're cold. They're
The
just dropping
leaves
all their
are
leaves.
falling down.
Huh, I think that's why they call it fall.
I'm
I wonder what
trying to
9mm
not
tastes
have
like.
it generic. I'm gonna finish off this episode different than I ever have before. We're gonna play a couple games if you're down.
Sweet, let's do it.
Okay. The first game is a couple questions of would you rather, and we're gonna find out where me and you land on each side of these. All right.
Okay. All right.
First one is lose both eyes and one arm, or both arms and one eye.
Oh,
I'm losing.
both eyes and one arm. I want one arm. I want to maintain my arm.
Whoa, that was not where I thought this was going. I thought we were starting off fucking easy.
You're losing
Dude,
both your arms
around looking like a fucking toothpick.
So you can watch all the people making fun of you? Is that so you can see everybody gasping?
Dude,
hell no.
You will spin in circles with your odd shaped body with no eyes and one arm. I don't like it. If I couldn't see, I might have a panic attack 99% of the time.
Right. You don't think you'd get used to it?
I think all you assholes would fuck with me. You'd be like, look at the fucking idiot who has one arm and can't see when we try and hand him stuff to his arm that's missing. Like, I don't think people would really be nice.
But you're losing both your arms. Now you have like you lost both your arms, but you can see with your one eye. So you walk yourself to the washroom. Now what? You got to pee. Now what, smarty pants? What are you going to do? You could sit down, but you can't pull your pants down. So you're wearing a skirt?
I might wear easy compromise.
Oh, how you getting the skirt on?
Mom,
you're not thinking these through, man. You're fucked.
Okay, I understand.
I'm gonna be walking around with my pants. Not gonna be able to know what color they are because I'm blind as hell. But I'm high-fiving people anyway. It's great.
I don't know, man. I think that there's nothing nothing I would keep over my eyes. Nothing I would keep over my eyes.
I'm blind, but I'm one-armed. Can't see, but at least I piss.
I knew exactly where you're going with that.
I'm not like that one-eyed guy, Greg Hart.
That guy's a
what
fucking
it
loser.
Down to.
All right, fine. We'll go to the next one. You and your fucking stupid arm. Penis-sized nipples or nipple-sized penis?
Wow.
Yeah.
This would be a problem for somebody with a big dick, huh?
I would just look like I had nipples.
Yeah, I just look like the same. I just look no change right now.
They're all, my nipples are always hard anyway. So like, really, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
No, I'd be taking dick-sized nipples. I think
dick-sized nipples for sure.
You have to. People can make fun of you all you want. You know, like you got sausage nipples, whatever. You can probably get nipples trimmed. That sounds kind of fucked up. I'm not gonna lie to you now that I've said it out loud in a statement. But you ain't like your dick ain't growing any bigger. You can put on a fucking dick cup or whatever those fucking what are those dick enlarger pipe things called?
I don't know.
Like where you suck the air into it and it makes a dick pump.
Dick pump. Yeah. But here's the thing. You got lots of nerve endings in your nipples. So if you get those bad boys hard, if you flick your nipple, it'll get hard in 7 seconds. Do it right now. Just flick it.
They're already hard. I told you.
And it's gonna get hard. Okay.
These fuckers don't need preparation.
The size of your penis. You don't think some enterprising young lady is gonna be like, I know what that fit in. Dude. Think of all the fun stuff.
Your mind is fucked up. It makes no, not fucked up, but it makes so much fucking sense. You're sitting there and you walk outside and you're just wearing a t-shirt and it gets cold and you feel that breeze and just doing the turkey's done and you got fucking 2.5-inch nipples. That sounds so fucked. I don't know. I don't
told you how big my penis was. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I was speaking from experience. All right, next one's gonna get harder. Okay.
Okay.
Freaky Friday with your mom and your girlfriend. Who are you sleeping with? Either your mom's body with your girlfriend's mind, or your mind, or your girlfriend's body and your mom's mind.
I'm sleeping with my girlfriend's body because I can tell her to shut up.
Hopefully she's blind with one arm.
Because if she's not making noise, I'm still just having sex with my girlfriend. If I'm having sex with my mom's body, it doesn't matter who's inside it. It's still my mom.
I guess it would just be talking to you as like your mom's voice, but with your girlfriend's thoughts.
Your mom dies.
Yeah.
It's still your mom. You can't just have sex with that now, right? This is the same situation.
Yeah, your mom dies. You can't just.
But if your girlfriend dies.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
It's only all right, depending on the place.
Second game here. I'm going to start trying to have pictures. So the segment I'm going to start doing is I'm going to have pictures of vehicles, like a rusted out Dodge, a Subaru Outback with a tent on the roof, and you have to explain what type of person would drive that car. Okay. Now this game is going to be reverse. You have to describe what type of car I would be. I'll describe what type of car you would be.
Okay.
Okay.
Who goes first?
I don't care.
Trying to look at the paraphernalia. You got a lot of baseball stuff there. You've got the the tartan plaid throw pillow. Yeah, you're you're an F-150. I think
So
you're an
fucked up.
F-150. You're like you're like an F-150, but the guy got the badges swapped, so it says platinum on it.
Oh, but it's just a basic.
It's just the badges.
Fucking asshole.
But you spent a lot of money on the rims and tires. Rims and tires are great, but then you get in and it's still cloth inside. But it says platinum badges all over the place.
That's not very nice, Tige.
But it's like you got it because you're reliable.
Wow.
Right? Everybody likes it. Everybody likes a Ford. There's no, even the people that don't like Fords are gonna be like, it's a decent truck. You can't argue it. It's still a decent truck.
Wow,
then
back
it's
it up
like
with a compliment, make me feel good.
Yeah. But then you've got all the other shit that's just like, okay, but you definitely want to fit in with other people. So you got the badge and the tires and rims. You got that. That's what I'm gonna say. Because I see the Toronto Blue Jays stuff in the background, and that's just, you can't have good taste, you know.
Yeah, after fucking cheering for these fucking bums for a while.
I should zoom out a bit so you can see my fridge.
I'm having a hard time to decide you. I couldn't tell whether or not you were a Honda Civic that's had 500,000 kilometers put on it and maybe 3 oil changes done on it. There's maybe some Cheeto marks on the seats, some leftover orange residue. Or my second choice was a old regular cab truck that had the camper built into the back of the box, and sometimes that's your shaggin' wagon.
Ooh.
See, it's funny. I actually do drive an F-150. It's my work truck. I'm a GM guy. I like GM, but I do drive an F-150, and it is awesome. A base model. I'm ordering platinum badges the second we get done this episode. Such a good idea.
Get those diesel wheels. I had a Civic. I had a 95 Civic hatch with the tailgate on it.
Shit.
Civic CS. I ran it without oil.
This adds up.
Because I was trying to kill it and it wouldn't die.
They will not die. You could put fucking laundry detergent in that bitch and she'll go.
Oh, I'd take it to like a Jiffy Lube just because it was fun. I'd take it to a Jiffy Lube and be like, hey, there's not going to be any oil in the pan and the filter's going to be heavy as fuck. And they're like, we got this, buddy. It's fine. And then you just hear the guy underneath the car go,
Jiffy Lube.
Whatever the supervisor's name is. He come down and goes, what the hell? Yeah, it's great. It's like, do you want an engine shampoo? I was like, no.
This is a fucking Civic, bro.
Yeah.
Looks like you put concrete in your oil filter. Oh, fuck. Before we leave,
pretty close on.
100%. And before
I almost bought a camper for a truck. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Camper for a truck, honestly, don't hate it.
Yeah, I saw we got like the roof racks and like the Thule box for my wife's car this summer, and in the showroom there they had like the one that goes over the box. You could put the camper above the bed, so you could put all your stuff inside and like all your overlanding stuff. And I was like, man, I'd get that and then never use it. I'd have a fully kitted out overlanding truck. Looks like I off-road all the time, and the only thing I would drive over is like curbs, so I didn't have to back out of parking spots. You know what I mean?
I don't know why the second I hear curbs really fucks me out. I like to golf. When I went to a golf course this year that had curbs that separated the golf carts, so they were facing each other with a curb in between. Well, the cart in front of me wasn't there. And so I just show up with my bag, toss in the back of the cart. My buddy's like, yeah, this is the cart we're taking. He knows the curb's there and thinks that I also know. Well, I just click drive and go right up on the curb, and like the thing is stuck on top of a 1.5 fucking curb in front of the clubhouse. We didn't even get to tee off because the guy was already so pissed off that we fucked up his cart. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I've had more chromosomes.
It's not I don't golf, and I know that that's not normal. They should have. Somebody should have been notified.
Yeah, they should just leave the carts in a row like they always do, and stop trying to make everything look so fancy.
Yes.
Last question for you before we go. I really
Let's
appreciate
do
you
it.
coming on and doing all this stuff and talking about your career and what it's meant to you to try and or to start and like start out in stand-up comedy and get to where you are now and then the different levels of being a stand-up. If you could give me a tip, not me specifically, but beginners, people who have maybe done an open mic set, are just starting out, this is year one for them. Is there something that you would do from the start that you wish you would have? Or something that maybe you did do and you realized it was so beneficial?
Um, no, my first year was dumb. I didn't do anything. I was trying to convince myself I didn't want to do it. So I think I did 12. I was on the mic 12 times in my first year. That was it. And that was the dumbest thing I could have done. So if you want to get into stand up and you're serious about it, hit up as many mics as you can. Open mics are there for you to go every week. Whether or not, like, if the guy doesn't want you on every week, then that's ridiculous, because that's your local areas, that's your gym, right? So the first thing would be get out and do it as much as possible. Don't don't pay too much attention to the other comedians. Like, that's not. I'm trying to word this so it doesn't sound like a real jerky thing to say. Making comedians laugh and making the audience laugh are two different things, right? Like, if you're playing to the comedians,
Yeah.
typically you're going to be a little more blue than an audience.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the way we talk to each other is so fucked up that that's what you will say on stage to make the comedians laugh. And if you get in your head that that is what your set is when you go to do a show for non-comedians, because a lot of open mics, it's just you and some comics, you'll forget that that's not what normal people want to hear. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I was
And
very
just try to make friends with as many people as you can. Be nice to everybody until they give you a reason not to,
for sure.
because everybody's this I don't mean this in a utilitarian sort of way, but having friends in this industry, especially in Canada, is important because it's so competitive. There's so few places for us to do it that you want to have friends. If they're starting a room, or if you're starting a room, yeah, you've got places to go.
It's fair enough. I appreciate the tip. And I think I got very lucky my first open mic night to do the set that you were featuring. There was like 50 or 60 people in there. So I got to feel what an actual room of people would feel like instead of a room of just comics. And it was outside on a
Yeah.
terrace. Like it was an awesome night to try stand-up comedy. So regardless, I appreciate all your info. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you live again. I can't wait to come down to the Crazy Canuck and do some more sets, Lavity comedy, and I think Shoeless Joe's in Guelph does open mic nights now.
Yeah. Monday nights they
So
do an open mic. Yeah.
yes, I'm gonna start cranking those out and see where we end up. But I appreciate your time. If people want to see your stand up or your reels make me laugh every single time. If people want to see your content, where's the best place to find all of your everything Tige?
Just Tige Wright on Instagram and TikTok, just TIGEWRIGHT. I don't post stand-up clips. I'm on there, and then if I'm posting events or tickets, I'll post links on my Instagram account. There's Tige Wright on. There's a page, not my personal page, but there's a page on Facebook that I also post everything through. Just Tige Wright. It's spelled like tiger with no R and WRIGHT. I'm not trying to be social media famous. It seems like that's a bad call. I should probably try harder at that.
It
It's
seems
getting
like it's
people
the
booked,
thing
man.
that are sticking right now. So,
Hell
but
yeah.
I overall, it was awesome to talk to you. I hope to have a beer and then do one of these live coming up in the future once I get my shit together.
Definitely.
Please go check him out. Go check out his page. Follow him on Instagram. See his dates across Ontario, and go see the guy. He is funny as fuck. It's contagious. Get out to more local comedy zones or comedy spots and support local comedy. If you want to have a chance to go see it at all, go start supporting it now so it doesn't phase down and get less popular and more of these yuck type spots will close. Get out and support local comedy. Thanks again, Tig. I appreciate you coming on. I almost called you Tig again. Might have been a funny way to end it. Just glad I fucking didn't. But thanks for your time. I can't wait to do it again. And have a great night, man.
Thanks. You too, man.